What it is, good people, it is the Bad Wolf, and we're here to make that beautiful music. Well, not exactly together, but together as nationals. So, what is this video about? Well, I did say we were pretty much done with the right to travel and all that little gobbledygook. We're going to move on to some more things. All the videos are there. You should have all the terminology. We're not yet done. Try it. We're almost there. Let's get into it. Once again, I am your most gracious host, James C., the Bad Wolf. Welcome to Bad Wolf Unincorporated. You can also check me on my other YouTube channel, Bad Wolf Unrestricted. And on Facebook, we have two new channels based on both of these channels. I think they're called pages over there, right? All right. So the first one is called and then one word, Bad Wolf Unincorporated. The other one is The Bad Wolf, which is one word, Bad Wolf, one word together, no spaces, unrestricted. Let's get into the video. I almost said film. Did they even say films anymore? I don't think so. You show my age. Hmm. All right, Sonny, let's get into it. So this particular video is about right to travel, but not exactly right to travel. It's more, but it's in that same genre, shall we say? Let's take a look. See. All right. Now, with that being said, we are on Cornell Law. So, hello to Cornell Law EDU and your various astute writers. I have found quite a substantial amount of mistakes on your site. Most of them have been small as of late, so I will not make a video just on that. You have AI for that now, so we'll leave it alone. However, back to the main scheduled program. On Cornell Law EDU 18 USC subsection 31 on definitions. And don't worry, we're going to handle all the little naysayers in 2 seconds, y'all. If we scroll down to number 6, so 18 USC subsection 31 definitions 6 motor vehicle. See what the government, who's also a part of the world of commerce, because they have a Department of Commerce. So the government themselves, the federal corporation, is a part of commerce. They set the standard. However, the UCC is also part of commerce. Though the government itself is not under the UCC, they are aware of it. And let's just say, though they're operating under the Constitution, as trustees, they have their own section. This is where they somewhat abridged the Constitution. They have the ability to do things for their own internal people who are doing commerce. So this is not for us as nationals, this is for their federal citizens. See, we may call it the 14th Amendment and say 14th Amendment US citizens, but there's also another type. And even though they're basically the same thing, they're slightly different. A federal citizen is definitely a direct employee of the government. 14th Amendment US citizen is not exactly a direct employee, but they're assumed to be within the family. But the 14th Amendment is really so they're under the government still yet, yes. And they're like two Dr. Hydes. One works exclusively for the government, and the other one is like you're pseudo. You're like a spy for them. You're pretending to be one of them, so they treat you like you're one under the 14th Amendment. Okay, so it's the best way I can explain it, but it's kind of like splitting hairs. The true federal citizen and then the 14th Amendment U.S. citizen who is regarded. So they're essentially the same thing, but they're not exactly the same thing. So they're synonymous, kind of like the word state citizen and national. Okay. They're pretty much the same damn thing, but legally they're slightly different. Anyway, so under number six, motor vehicle, the term motor vehicle means every description of carriage or other contrivance propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highways in transportation of passengers and property or cargo. Now, what they also should have put in here, well, I guess passengers kind of covers that. Uh, well, I would have also included in here services, okay, because like Uber kind of has property, but they don't have a description of what all property is. And technically, it's not your property yet. So I would have put service or services, cargo and services, PQRS. So it would have been actually, it should have been C comes first. So this really should have been rewritten to say highways and the transportation of cargo, passengers, property, and then or services if you really want to, put this in the right English language. But anyway, so motor vehicle. Let's take a look at what motor vehicle means. This is why I come to Cornell Law because they have hyperlinks in these words. This is why a lot of people out there, when they do their, you know, paperwork and documents and whatever else, if you don't know in what is the definition of the word on regular paper, there's no hyperlink. What jurisdiction is this word coming from? What context at times? So here, the word motor vehicle. Let's see what they have to say. Okay, so the term the term motor vehicle means every description. So everywhere where you see the word motor vehicle, if they don't say it's Black's Law based or federal based motor vehicle, then what is your definition of motor vehicle? And if that's the case, you must then divulge, is this commercial? And it is, because anywhere where they can govern somebody or charge a fee, it's commercial. And the source of it is 18 USC subsection 31A6, which is where we're at. So this is the definition of motor vehicle. And it gives it away right here for commercial purposes. So motor vehicle, unless it says otherwise, it is to be denoted that it is for commercial purposes, period. If it's for uh non-commercial, private, free world, authentic, then it must say that. But they don't say any of that. The going usage of the term motor vehicle, either by Black's Law or here on federal, both of those say for commercial purposes. So if the state wants to use it, guess where they pull it from? Yeah, right here. They may drop the commercial word because it's already assumed that they're in commerce because they're charging a fee for the service and the license. And we already know it's a privilege. If it was a right, the government would give it away, or for a small fee, you could get one. If they said nope, everybody has to have a license to use your vehicle, then the government has to provide it first, and we pay for that, so it really should be free or a low cost because we are the beneficiaries. They have our money, so give us our stuff. The government really shouldn't be charging us for anything like that. That's a right. Hell, even the passport. Well, technically, technically they should have a national ID that should be free for everybody who wants one. You should get one free and any replacement, and that one should be good for your entire life. Then anything after that, a replacement or you lost it, should be charged for. They don't do that, and they should, because you guys aren't sending letters to the Department of State saying we want it. The passport really should be free, but the passport's a mixed use thing for citizens and nationals. So because the citizen aspect is attached to it, they can charge a fee for it. Now, once again, anywhere where the term motor vehicle is used, unless they say otherwise, which they won't. Why won't they say otherwise that the use of motor vehicle is not, it's non-commercial. It's a non-commercial because your driver's license is based on your vehicle when you register to be called a motor vehicle. If it's a motor vehicle, then they can charge you for it. If it's non-commercial, meaning private, then they can't charge you for it. Then there would be no DMV. They're not doing it for their health. They're doing it because it's revenue. And it's used for commercial purposes. But can you use this commercial purposed vehicle or ID privately while being on the public side? Yes. You don't have to be in commercial capacity. It's instantly ready to go when you do enact it. So it's a commercial device that has the ability to step down. It's still commercial. You're just not engaged in business. So they consider that, quote unquote, to be private while on the public side. Okay, we should be good now. All right, so let's back up. So, motor vehicle means any type of description of a contrivance or carriage propelled, drawn mechanical power. But so that sounds like the vehicle. It sounds like your automobile, but it's not. Motor vehicle, when it's used for commercial, when your vehicle is used for commercial purposes, it's then taking on the description of being a motor vehicle. It absolutely becomes a motor vehicle when you register it. Now, let's look up what commercial purposes means. Used for commercial purposes means the term used for commercial purposes means the carriage of persons or property for any fare, fee, rate, charge, or other consideration, directly or indirectly in connection with any business or other undertaking intended for profit. This is why they can tax anything where profit is talked about. For profit is their jurisdiction, the public. Servicing multiple people or whatever else connected to a business. When you do your things by yourself, going to your job or whatever else, that's not for business. But when you do Uber, it's for business. So let's ask ourselves, when we get a license, is there any business involved? Yes. Who, where, what, how, when? The state. The state is a business. They are not a lawful government. They're a type of government that's doing business, which then brings them to a type of commercial enterprise, which means they have the same responsibilities and limitations as a business. Only the federal government is the highest form of government here. And remember, federal doesn't mean American, but it's in the American family. So the states being a business, boom. Guess what? Where do you get it from? The DMV. So guess what the DMV is? Boom. It's a business. The DMV is not a government. They're a business. They're for profit. So what does this say? Anything for commercial purposes, transporting people directly and indirectly, fee, rate, charge, blah, 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 consideration associated with a business, in connection with the business, means that that undertaking is then for profit. And if it's for profit, it must be connected to a business. And if it's connected to a business, what is that business? The DMV and the state. And if you can use it for Uber and you don't have to get us anything special, it's commercial. You're making money, the DMV and the state are making money. That then means if you're registered your vehicle to them, it's a motor vehicle. It goes from being an automobile to a motor vehicle. And then down here, once again, for profit. Told you. Now, some people may say, yeah, but Wolf, that's not the state of, but they're using the same word. And they're not saying it doesn't mean commercial. And we know it does mean commercial because you can do Uber, and Uber is commercial. So motor vehicle means commercial. When you're not doing something like Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever else, delivering things, etc., passengers, blah, 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 you're then utilizing your commercial public identification and privilege for personal means, which is considered private, but on the public side, with it being commercial in nature. After a delivery driver drops off his parcel and he's still on the clock, or let's say he's off the clock, is he in public or is he in private capacity? He's in public capacity. He can still pick up a job or do whatever else, even though he's not on his main run. But because he's not doing any work, it's considered downtime or personal. He's not making any money right then. So he's not for profit at that point in time, but he's still in public commercial capacity. But he's in we'll call it a pending personal private status because he's not in the operation of it. That's what most people out there who are using their vehicle to go to and fro work and grocery store, grandma's house, your sneaky link or whatever it is, church, picking up the kids. You're not making any money at that point in time. Most of y'all never make any money with your vehicle. So legally, that means you don't need a license. But now, if you talk to an officer or whoever else, they'll say, well, but you need a license to drive. And that is factual. But driving means commerce, making money with it. What happened was, and I broke this down in the video on the history of the driver's license, the right to use your vehicle, automobile, conveyance, there was never a state nor federal law that said that ends now and you can't. It was never prohibited, ever. But what happened was is they started offering it to professional drivers, chauffeurs, to make sure they knew what they were doing. The state then said, hey, I think we can make some money on this. So they offered it. And then people just said, well, you might as well go get your license. So then regular people started getting it. It was made for commerce. They have never prohibited any aspect of the license to be for commerce. What they did was is they allowed you to get it, and if you wanted to use it personally while it's still being a public identification privilege that's licensed, you can. Just like some companies let you take their company car home, use it for your personal needs. Isn't it still the company's? So you and the DMV and the state are in a triway over the use and operation thereof of your vehicle. But they've never prohibited the ability for you to use your vehicle completely privately, right to travel. But you must know how to do it the correct way. Can you ignore what the states say if you read their fine print, like under foreign registration or non-resident registration? Can you ignore that? Yeah, you can ignore it. But it's safer, easier, and smarter to abide by the state's statutes, where most of them say you should have an expiration date on your plate. Not all of them say that, but you should have something in there exempt or the year 2150 for expiration, something. You need to have the name of the entity that it is registered to or the state. Could you create a plate based on Brazil? We could, but you should probably have Brazil's authorization to do that. Okay. Now, what would it take to get an actual plate from Brazil? Could you know somebody down there and use a plate from a vehicle down there? Good. Because the people here, they can't run, they don't have access to that system. But if you're going to do it legit. Get the plate or buy the plate or contact them, get the vehicle, export it, or whatever floats your boat. Just giving you some thoughts to ponder. You can have your vehicle registered in another country and be here. What the law states is that if the owner of the vehicle becomes a resident, a resident, then you must register that vehicle to them. But that's also only if you're going to be doing business and commerce. They don't have the right to tell you your private property must be registered to them. It's not a thing. It's not a law. So there you have it. If you're going to do something private, make sure you know how to do it. Watch all the videos on Right to Travel. We are not responsible for you. Individual results may vary. But if you have everything right and the cop goes to run the VIN, he's going to see that the owner of the vehicle, your entity, is not in his jurisdiction. However, if you are speeding or doing anything stupid, jeopardizing public safety, are you giving him RAS, reasonable articulate suspicion of a crime, in the act thereof, or you fit the description, he has the right to interfere with your private travel. Period. I'll talk to you guys later.